We're going to talk about Manchester United next, who scraped past Wolves in their opener. Rafa Varane scoring the winner. Their first game of the Premier League season, of course, harsh on Wolves. Gary O'Neill, first game in charge, 4 or 5 days preparation, and they probably should have had a late penalty as well, shouldn't they, Wolves? I think so.
No.
Yeah, I think so. But the question is really, do Manchester United need to go back into the market after Monday's performance, Lianne? I know a lot of people were critical of the midfield, but generally the team wasn't where it needed to be. Wolves were brilliant, really, at times, all over Manchester United. More tenacity, more speed, more incisiveness on the break in particular. They were just at it, and Manchester United didn't really look like it.
Yeah, we were poor. There's no denying that, but I want to give some perspective because the first 2 games of the year last year, I was at Brighton and Brentford, and we were absolutely woeful. And Erik Ten Hag done his magic, and we seemed to find a way, winning a trophy. I think we'd have taken that before last season. But at the same time, I think Amrabat, if we can get Amrabat in, I think he'll be good for us. But it sounds weird to say, do we need to go back into the window? I mean, Wolves went through us like a knife through butter. Our midfield was not existent. I was actually probably one of the only people that was excited for this midfield. You know what I mean? I love Mason. I think Mason Mount's a good signing. Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes. Yeah. They're not poor players. They're top players. You might disagree with me, but I think they're top players. But they were almost non-existent. So if we were to get Amrabat and he sits alongside Casemiro, then who sits? Mason Mount. But furthermore, our wide players are so inconsistent. Anthony, who I really liked last year, I thought, give him a chance. First season, I love all the stuff he does. I don't like players that are robotic, just get in, give it. In English culture, it's like, second touch is a tackle. We love cheering a tackle. No. I like Anthony when he's doing all that stuff, but he needs to be consistent. Jadon Sancho started on the bench. He needs a big season this year, Jadon Sancho, because I think Erik Ten Hag has managed him really well. He sent him away when he felt like he needed a break. He was training in the Netherlands, it seemed, with another team. And I feel like Jadon Sancho needs a big season. But that number 9 role, I know Højlund's injured, but it didn't work, did it?
Marcus Rashford.
He didn't have a great... But you know what? None of them had a good game. Realistically, I thought Wan-Bissaka was actually really good. We were lucky. Let's be honest, we were. But I would rather this happen than what happened last year. When I was at Brentford, away, we were 4-0 down after 20 minutes. I wanted to cry.
There's a difference.
Genuinely.
There's a big difference.
And Onana, for sure that was a penalty all day long.
Yeah, but there's a difference between Erik Ten Hag's first 2 matches as manager and his first game of his second season in charge, which is these players should have a plan. He's not finding out about most of the players in this team. He knows exactly what he's going to get from them. I think really they underperformed. And look, you're right to say it's early in the season, obviously 1 game in, but you use the phrase, last year we found a way. And for me, the big thing for Manchester United this season is to progress from a team who's playing how they need to play to get results and a team that can dominate their opposition. I've spoken about it so many times, who can control the tempo and possession of a match, who have a clear pattern of attacking play, and they can create chances and create chances and create chances. And for me, Man United don't need to go out and win everything this season. They don't need to be challenging for the Premier League, in my eyes.
Really?
But not this season. No. I think, listen, Manchester United were at a really low base. I get it, the name Manchester United. I've said before on the show, everyone walking around saying, this is Manchester United. That doesn't help. Manchester United were god-awful for a long period of time. That stuff that we saw under Ralph Rangnick was embarrassing. The idea that within 18 months we're now talking about them going out to win the Premier League.
No, I don't think they're going to win the league, but we should be working towards that.
No, listen, I agree, but I think there's a process to that, and that process takes time. I'm not going to put pressure on Man United to go out there and say, you got to get close to Man City this year, because I don't think that's realistic. They just want a treble. They're on a different league to Manchester United. But I do think that Manchester United need to progress the style of football this year. And what I've seen from other sides, even ones with new managers, is that there's been a clear change in style and approach. I get it. Erik Ten Hag tried that in his first 2 matches, and he clearly saw that they weren't prepared to play how he wanted to, and he changed that. Man United became a pretty dull team last year. The goal difference of plus 15 in the Premier League.
I disagree though, Hugh.
Listen, they weren't scoring freely.
No, Marcus but we were Rashford's definitely goals, better. As the season went on, I was on here saying I don't know where our first win of the season is going to come from.
No, I get that.
And you can actually see a philosophy under Erik Ten Hag as opposed to Rangnick.
No, but I'm not saying any philosophy. I'm saying we need to see Manchester United progress to a team that has a philosophy that can go out and win the Premier League title. Not this season, but maybe next season or the season after that.
More elite types of players? Is that what you're saying?
For
What's
me,
the answer?
In particular, and look, this is a Transfer Insiders, we're talking about what teams possibly need. I said at the end of last season, people saying, you definitely need a striker. I get though, but for me, Manchester United do not control the midfield. The quality of Casemiro stood out like a sore thumb last year, but I still think we need someone alongside him. Christian Eriksen did it really well for a period of time last season, who can put their foot on the ball, slow the game down when it needs to be slowed down, quicken things up when it needs to go faster. I just think right now, with Eriksen on the bench on Monday, we saw a Manchester United midfield that isn't in control of the game.
We need someone like Casemiro that can do both, though. I don't want two players sitting alongside each other like Fred and McTominay. Do you know what I mean? I think we've progressed. I think Erik ten Hag's done a good job of getting rid of those types of players. I know Scott McTominay's still there, and I like him because I think he works hard for the club. But what I will say is that to say that we still need more, I don't know why. And I know people are going to think this is ridiculous. I say it all the time.
You're happy with the squad
Why
as it
did we
is?
not get Harry Kane? Yeah, but I said this last week. Why did we not get Harry Kane? You're saying they don't want him, but why? How can we spend Højlund and Mason Mount, spend all that money? I know he's gone.
Let it
but
go.
It's still, I will let it go next year sometime. But why did we not get Harry Kane? I don't understand it, Hugh.
But for
You're
me,
saying that we might not have wanted him, but I don't understand it.
It wouldn't have solved the issues that we saw against Wolves. It wouldn't have solved the issue of them, like you said, getting through Manchester United like a knife through hot butter. So we can talk about Harry Kane and all the other great players that Man United weren't in the conversation for, the likes of Jude Bellingham,
that's a problem
for
in
example.
itself, though, that we should have been in a conversation with Harry
But
Kane.
I don't think Manchester United are where they are in terms of getting the very best players on the planet. I think they're in, and I don't mind the signings, because I think the signings are also an indication of a Manchester United side that wants to progress. They brought in a Mason Mount, they bring in a young, hungry striker, hopefully, in Rasmus Højlund, and they've brought in a goalkeeper that will hopefully allow them to play a different style of football. So I'm happy with the transfers as it is, but it's a slow process. For me, all I want to see from Erik ten Hag this year is a side that is going to really control football matches and start to be more expansive. Like Manchester United fans expect a side that plays beautiful football and can score goals. And I do think that is part of the job of being Manchester United manager. I get it. We got desperate for a period of time, and it was all about getting in the Champions League. Now they're back in the Champions League. The goal this season is to get back into the Champions League, possibly win another trophy. But for me, the style of football has to progress, because otherwise Manchester United...
You can't judge them just after one game, though,
No,
Hugh.
but listen...
It's been one game.
Listen, for me, it's the approach. It's the approach. And the approach to the game was similar to last year. And I think, and I said this before a ball was kicked, that I think Manchester United will have a similar season to what they had last year. And it's for that reason.
Well, I'm going Tottenham away on Saturday. I'm going to be in the away end. I'm going to be singing my heart out before the Lionesses play on Sunday, and hopefully I'll have a voice for Sunday, because it's one game, I know what you're saying. I don't think we're going to win the league, and that sounds crazy to say as a Man United fan, but I still think there are some positives. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as it was the beginning of last season at all. And I think Ten Hag...
I'm not disappointed with the opening game of the season, because Manchester United won ultimately. And look, there can be teething problems. There are new players in the team. It will take time. I'm not too concerned about how the game went and the result, even though we won, in terms of the fact that Wolves probably could have had a penalty at the end, but should have scored multiple goals, during the game.
Cunha could put it in the back of the net, it would have been...
And the fact that we only scored once, it's not that. It's that we approached the game in a similar way.
Would you not think against Tottenham on Saturday he'll approach it a little bit differently? Because we've seen with Erik ten Hag,
we're away from
when
home.
They make mistakes, he will rectify those mistakes.
I think Manchester United have been a team that is half decent away from home because of the fact that we can play with a low block. We've got very good players on the counter-attack, and I'd expect to see some of that. Again, it feels a bit strange to say, but our players kind of get let loose, because we play on the counter-attack. We've got players with speed. We've got players like Bruno Fernandes that want to play that killer pass. But at home, in the Premier League, I want to see a dominant Manchester United side. I don't want to see the other side touch the ball.
I agree with you on that, but I just think
on Monday
I want us
to dominate the opposition.
Unfortunately, a lot of the players individually had a bad game. Don't know why, because it doesn't seem to happen at Manchester City. We were talking about this before. When one player's not having a good game, someone else will step up and perform. Yeah. With Manchester United, it's hard to know where the consistency is ever going to come from. From our wide players, Anthony, and if Sancho's playing, with Garnacho the other night was poor, but he's a good player. So I don't know why, but it didn't seem to work on Monday.
It's elite squads.
Yeah, but they're better than they showed on Monday, Hugh. So I'm not going to judge them off of that one game. Individually, they were poor.
Again, I'm not too concerned about the match itself, but I'm more looking at Erik ten Hag and saying, what are you going to do to bring this team on this season? That's the big question for me. He has to take this team.
He does, but the players also have to play better individually than they did on Monday night. He can only do so much. He can set them up. If a player can't pass from me to you, then what does it matter how he sets them up? They're professional footballers.